Welcome to Malifaux Mondays from the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra. It's been a while since we've journeyed through the Breach, and it's good to be back. In the coming months, we have some awesome videos lined up, including some reviews and maybe even some battle reports. Since we last saw you, those evil geniuses at Wyrd Games dropped the Madness of Malifaux expansion for Malifaux 3rd edition. This awesome book added a whole new set of masters, minis and rules to the game. We'll be doing a look at the book in a future video, but today we're going to look at one of the new masters added to the book, Tiri the Nomad and her core box. Within the lore, Tiri is the current leader of the Aua, one of the original races which inhabit Malifaux. The Aua lived in the deserts and were famed artificers. In fact, much of the ancient Malifaux technology which so fascinates the interloping humans is of Aua manufacture. The time of the Aua came to an end with the rest of the original races during the Tyrant Wars. The Tyrants were once members of different races within Malifaux. Over time, they became monsters transformed by the power that they gathered and concentrated. From within the Aua rose Sharuf, a being who became a living inferno as he focused the power of fire within himself. Though the Aua fought hard, they were no match for the mighty Tyrant. Sharuf ended up so twisted that, when the Aua finally fled him, he cursed them to burn slowly from the inside. Over time, all Aua are fated to become nothing more than ash and memory. Thankfully, the Aua use prosthetics to slow this process, but they can't actually stop it. When Sharuf was finally beaten and imprisoned by the Grave Spirit in the Red Cage, the curse lessened, but the Aua moved deeper into the desert. They found that the heat slowed the progress of their curse. Few in number, they hid in the desert when the humans arrived, avoiding contact and steering clear of the invaders. When Sharuf was freed, the curse returned with a vengeance. Now the Aua know they must defeat Sharuf once and for all, and can't do it alone. So they have emerged from the desert and allied themselves with the Explorer Society to defeat their tyrant one last and final time. So that's the story. Let's take a look at the box. Isn't it pretty? Now, let's look inside at the good stuff. As usual with the Malifaux Core Box, you'll find 6 miniatures in the box. For Tiri's box, that's 3 Aua Warrior minions, her henchman and brother Kett, her totem Ouroboros, and the lady herself, Tiri the Nomad. In this box, you get Tiri the Nomad. There is an alternate Title Master version of Tiri called Tiri the Architect. Title Masters are very different to their normal twins and include different miniatures. These can be bought in separate boxes. For Tiri, that's the Ruins of a Lost Age box and comes with 2 other minis, including the Unseelie engine and the Title Master Castor Fervent. So what exactly is in the box? Well, first we have some bases. Always good to ensure that your minis don't fall over. The cards for each of the minis in the box, then a sprue of minis. The cards cover all of the minis in the box and have artwork to match the design of the miniatures they're for. So the Aua Warriors have images of all 3 sculpts on. This makes it a lot easier to know who's who when you're new to the game. Aside from that, the cards for the same mini are identical, listing all of the actions and abilities which they have. You'll also find all of this information about actions and abilities on the other cards for Kett, the crew's henchman, Ouroboros, the totem, and the lady herself, Tiri. One of Tiri's abilities is a new mechanic for Malifaux. When building a crew, you can add upgrade cards to a miniature. For Tiri, she has a double-sided one called an Ideal Upgrade. When Tiri is activated, she can flip this card between Embrace Technology and Follow Tradition. Which side is facing up defines which special triggers the crew can use. For example, if you have Follow Tradition face up, then if Tiri uses Off the Path and has tomes in her flip, which is easily done with bygone crews, then she can use the Mirage trigger. If Embrace Technology was showing, then even if she had tomes in the result, this trigger wouldn't happen. So choosing which side of the upgrade to use is an important consideration with this crew. As ever, the miniatures in here are stunning. Wyrd Games produce some of the most unique, detailed and gorgeous miniatures around, though these are not for the faint of heart. With small, thin parts, you really need to bring your A game if you want to build these well. Spoilers, sort of not good at a game. But once together, my goodness, they're stunning. Whilst we have a tour of the completed minis and play Spot the Bits Hydra didn't get quite right putting them together, let's talk about the very basics of this new crew. Tiri herself is very much a second line support master. She needs to be up just behind the action. Why? Well, as with all crews, Tiri's has a keyword which unites them, in this case, Bygone. Pretty much everyone in the Bygone crew, bar totems, has the Scars of Sharuf ability. This means that they get inbuilt tomes to all flips if they have the shielded condition when they activate. How do you get shielded? Well, Tiri can hand out shielded +2 with her Impassioned Defense tactical action to a friendly within 8 inches. Plus, if she has shielded, then they also get focused +1. This action has a target number of 10 and a stat of 6, so you should be able to get it off pretty reliably. Also, if you hit masks in your flip, you can do the action a second time. Tiri herself gets Arcane Shield, which gives her shielded +2 condition natively, so she's always going to be hitting Scars of Sharuf and always going to be getting tomes in her flips. She has the Divergent skill, which lets her flip the ideal upgrade once per activation. Additionally, her main attack, Earthquake, is not awful, hands out staggered, and can even heal friendlies. Tiri is also good at hand manipulation with her Let Bygones Be Bygones ability, letting friendly models within Aura 6 draw a card when they hit the Tomes trigger, and her Off the Path attack, letting her dump and redraw up to 2 cards to move a model around the board. Overall, the further back Tiri is from the action, the less useful she becomes, and with her shielded +2 and 11 health, she isn't so squishy that you necessarily have to panic about having her in the fight. Next up, Tiri's totem, Ouroboros. This little Pokemon of Doom is surprisingly handy and resilient. He has the ability to resurrect once per game with Demise, comes with armor +2, and has some abilities which depend on the ideal upgrade. One of them makes him heckin' fast, and one of them makes him heckin' tough. His attack actions are fun, with the option to hand out slow to everything in a 2-inch pulse, cancel shielded, and ignore armor. Finally, Ouroboros can launch a ranged shockwave to give out stunned, which is amplified by markers close to the target, which is just not friendly. Next in the crew we have Tiri's brother and henchman, Kett. Kett is about moving things around the board, with most of his abilities resulting in other models being moved. His abilities include Armor +1, which is nice, Knockback, which lets you yeet an enemy 3 inches if they were dumb enough to attack you, Scout Ahead, which forces your opponent to put any non-leader down before deployment begins. His attack, though, doesn't output that much damage, but it does result in a lot of models moving around the board against their will. But if you hit the right trigger, he can put down an Aura 1 effect, which does do 2 damage to everything in that area, which is not too bad. Kett is a capable henchman, but he's very much about controlling the enemy rather than killing them. Finally, the minions. For them we have 3 living constructs, the Aua Warriors. With armor 1 and Scars of Sharuf, meaning you should always be putting shielded on them, these guys are pretty tough and durable. Their defense 5 isn't awful either. Their follow-up ability fits nicely with Kett. If he moves an enemy into engagement with an Aua Warrior, then the warriors can bonk them on the head for 1 damage. Repurpose lets them take shielded from someone who lost it and give it to someone else, so once Tiri puts shielded out there, these lads and ladettes just pass it around until the end of the turn. Probably. In attack actions, the 2-3-4 combat staff is fine, and if you've hit the Scars of Sharuf to get tomes, you can even give a friendly model within 3 inches shielded. The discus grenades are fine too, and let you push enemies around. Equally, weapon mastery is for making a mess of your opponent's plans. Finally, you can take a tactical action to gain shielded +1, if you can find a scrap marker. Overall, these guys are lovely looking, but everything on them in game is okay at best, even for minions. I've yet to play them, but looking at the cards themselves, I'm just not convinced they're going to be that reliable or put out that much pain. I may need another option. Maybe I should forge a new path, but more on that in a later video. Looking at the box as a whole, these 6 minis come in at 28 soul stones, so a good enough place to start for a crew. They're full of tricks, but lacking in damage output, relying on those tricks rather than brute force, at least when it comes to the Outcast version of Tiri. Next steps will be to get them on some controversially desert themed bases. Where do I come up with these ideas? Then it'll be painting time. I think I'm going to go pretty close to the art with these. Much as I love to do some random schemes, I just like the standard designs too dang much. More of that on Instagram soon, no doubt. So that's Tiri. What do you think of her and her crew? Have you used or faced her yet? Let us know how it went in the comments below, and any tips and hints you have with playing her. Thanks for joining us on this dive into the Tiri Core Box. I hope to have Tiri and her crew start in a battle report on the channel soon. Until then, please like and subscribe, and consider supporting us with channel membership or on Patreon. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.